Imagine waking up and realizing your city is gone. Not in a war, not in an earthquake, but under the ocean. All of Earth's ice caps and glaciers have melted overnight, pushing sea levels more than 60 meters higher and erasing entire coastlines along with hundreds of major cities. Nearly 40% of the world's population lives close to sea level. So where do billions of people go when their homes are suddenly underwater? In this video, you'll see how fast the water rises on a real map, which countries vanish first, which new safe zones appear, and whether your city survives in a world without ice. Stay until the end, because the last part reveals the one place almost nobody talks about that could become humanity's final refuge. So before we flood the whole planet in our imagination, let's ask a simple question. How much ice does Earth actually have? And what would it do to sea level if it all melted? Earth's land ice is mostly stored in two giant freezers, Antarctica in the south and Greenland in the north, plus a smaller amount locked in mountain glaciers. Together, that's about 5 million cubic miles of ice, in some places more than 3 kilometers thick, pressing down on the land beneath it. If all of that ice melted into the ocean, global sea level wouldn't rise by a few centimeters or even a couple of meters. It would jump by roughly 65 to 70 meters, around 216 to 230 feet. Imagine a wall of water taller than a 20-story building, wrapped all the way around every coastline on Earth. Antarctica is the main contributor in this nightmare scenario. Its ice sheet alone could raise sea levels by about 58 meters. Greenland adds another 7 to 8 meters, and all the remaining glaciers and ice caps combined contribute less than half a meter more. Put together, that's enough water to completely redraw the map of our planet. Not just flooding a few cities, but permanently reshaping which countries stay above water and where humans can live at all. Now that we know how high the water can go, let's drop that imaginary sea level onto the real world and see what disappears first. With around 65 meters of extra water, low-lying coasts and river deltas are the first to vanish. In North America, Florida is gone. The Atlantic seaboard and Gulf Coast are heavily flooded. Cities like New York, Boston, Miami, New Orleans, and Houston end up underwater. Coastal California shrinks, and the Central Valley turns into a long, wide bay. In South America, new ocean inlets push deep into the Amazon and Paraguay basins. Coastal cities such as Buenos Aires and Montevideo drown, and large stretches of Brazil's famous shoreline are lost. Africa keeps more land above water because much of the continent sits higher. But key low areas still flood. Parts of the Nile Delta sink. Senegal's coast retreats. Some well-known sites that once were inland become isolated islands. Asia takes one of the hardest hits. Bangladesh is almost entirely submerged. Big pieces of coastal India, China, Vietnam, and Southeast Asia go under. Megacities like Shanghai, Kolkata, Ho Chi Minh City, and Jakarta are no longer safe ground, forcing hundreds of millions of people to move inland. Europe's outline changes dramatically. The North Sea and Atlantic push further into Western Europe, swallowing large parts of the Netherlands and Denmark. London, Venice, Barcelona, and other coastal hubs sink below the new sea level, while the Mediterranean cuts deeper into Italy and the Balkans, turning lowlands into scattered islands. Australia's shape is transformed as well. A huge inland sea forms where the outback used to be. Many coastal settlements vanish, and the new shoreline lies far from where most Australians live today. In a world without ice, the real question is no longer which beach will flood, but which high ground is left to call home. So far, this looks like just a giant flood, but once all that ice is gone, the real shock begins. The entire climate system and almost every ecosystem on Earth start to change. Right now, bright ice and snow act like a mirror, bouncing a lot of sunlight back into space. Without that white surface, dark ocean water absorbs far more heat, pushing global temperatures higher and making many regions hotter and drier. Some areas that already struggle with heat and water stress, like parts of Africa, the Middle East and South Asia, could face longer, more intense droughts, crop failures, and deadly heat waves. Even land that stays safely above the new sea level may become extremely hard to farm or live on. At the same time, the oceans themselves start behaving differently. So much fresh meltwater pouring in dilutes salty seawater and makes it lighter. That slows down the great conveyor belts of ocean circulation that normally move warm and cold water around the planet. If those currents weaken or shift, weather becomes more extreme and unpredictable. Regions that were once mild can swing between severe storms, intense heat, and unusual cold, while stronger storm surges crash into the new coastlines. Underwater, life is shaken as well. Microscopic algae and plankton at the base of the food chain depend on nutrients stirred up by moving water. If circulation slows, some regions starve of nutrients while others get short, chaotic blooms. That means fish populations move, shrink, or collapse, and the oceans humans rely on for food become far less reliable. Iconic ice-dependent animals such as polar bears and some seal species lose their hunting grounds completely and are likely to disappear. In a world without ice, the danger isn't just how high the water rises, it's the long shockwave through temperatures, storms, oceans, and food systems that turns the entire planet into a much harsher place to survive. All of this raises the most important question. In a world without ice, where could people actually survive? The first rule is simple. High ground becomes more valuable than gold. With around 65 to 70 meters of sea level rise, only inland regions and higher elevations stay safely above the new shoreline. Low-lying coasts and many present-day coastal countries are gone. On every continent, the map of good places to live flips. In North America, safer zones shift toward the interior and the foothills of mountain ranges instead of the drowned east and west coasts. In South America, higher terrain away from the Amazon lowlands and major coastal cities has a better chance of remaining above water, but elevation alone is not enough. To survive long-term, people need three things together: fresh water, tolerable temperatures, and land that can still grow food. Some high hot regions might stay dry and almost sterile, while cooler mid-latitude interiors with rivers and lakes could become the new population centers. New frontiers also appear. As the ice disappears, parts of Greenland and Antarctica change from permanent ice sheets into exposed land with milder climates than today, making them potential refugees, even though their rugged, mountain-like terrain limits how many people they can support. In this future, many of today's great coastal capitals are gone or crippled, and global power shifts inland. Regions that still combine elevation, fresh water, and arable land, not just wealth or technology, become the new centers of civilization, and the world's political map is effectively rewritten. Our all the ice melts overnight scenario is just a thought experiment. Melting all land ice would actually take thousands of years. But sea level is already rising today and could reach around 1 meter by 2100 if emissions stay high, putting many coasts and islands in danger. Carbon dioxide levels in the atmosphere are still climbing, pushing us slowly toward more ice loss and higher seas. So the real question isn't, will everything melt tomorrow, but how much of this future do we lock in, and how fast? If you want more people to understand what's at stake, share this video with someone who still thinks sea level rise is just a few centimeters. And tell me in the comments, would your city survive in a world without ice, or would you have to move?